You guys probably already know where I am. I'm at one of the UK's most watched koi ponds. It's got to be up there, hasn't it?
No, I wouldn't say that.
So I'm here with Dave. How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm good, Joe. Yeah, all good, mate.
Been a busy year, hasn't it?
It has, definitely. In more ways than one, not just for koi keeping, but definitely attended a couple of shows anyway. Your digital one being one.
Yeah, so that's why I'm here, really, to give you your plaque from the digital koi show, and also to just come and have a look at your pond, because this is one of the, when I was getting into the hobby during COVID, I got watching your videos as a source of like trying to understand what the difference is between like a garden pond and then a proper koi pond, like what you've had. And this is like, is this your second iteration of a koi pond, this one now?
No, it's the second one at this house.
Yeah.
I had the old one over there, but I've had koi ponds back in Wales originally when we lived over there, and then we moved up to Yorkshire, and at our last property I had 3 ponds in total. One of them was inside the house. So yeah, this, like I was saying to you before in the kitchen, I had a small pond over there that me and my old man threw up together over a course of a few weekends, and like we had planned to move on to a bigger house with more land, but as I say, we did a few upgrades on the property here, and the wife wanted to stay. So, but because of that, I said, well, if I'm staying here, I'm building a proper koi pond. And
you put your foot down.
If I'd have put my foot down, Joe would have moved.
Yeah.
But no, my wife didn't. To be fair, our kids are getting older now, and they're moving out and they've got their own lives, so we don't really need anything bigger.
Yeah.
I just wanted a bigger pond, and I didn't think at the time, getting sort of 4,000 or 5,000 gallons out here on such a small footprint, it would have looked out of place.
So what was like the reason for you? Because to a lot of people, 2,000 gallons is a big pond, isn't it? So to go bigger than that, what was like I know why you've done it, but why? What was the logic in your mind to say, right, I'm going to go bigger? Was it to grow bigger fish, or?
Yeah, I mean, the fish that I had in the other pond they'd grown as much as they could, and I knew that by transferring them in here. We'd had them years in that pond. Once I transferred them in here, they started to progress massively very quickly. For me, it was about, I wanted to improve the quality of the fish, and it was really just the next level. My life has progressed on, and I could afford to build a bigger pond, so that's basically what I wanted to do. Maybe start competing in some of the competitions that we have around the UK, and take some prizes, really. Some
of the fish here I've been speaking to you about, obviously you can see that the ones you've acquired like more recently are serious koi. But you buy a lot of your fish from Chris Masters as well, don't you? Yeah,
90% of the koi in here have come from Chris Masters, and that just kind of shows you the development of the hobby for me, because the fish that you're talking about that I've bought over the last couple of years have been more select fish. You were out there with Chris when he selected them for me. Some of the other fish in here, they were like 4 for 100 quid, maybe 12, 13 years ago when Chris was selling little toe size. So they're like pets, and it's becoming hard to move them on.
Yeah. That's a stage of being a koi keeper, isn't it, where you have to really be brutal with your collection. And
it is the hardest thing for me. I mean, we were just talking about the cost of food and the quality of food, and how it's, over the last couple of years, it just, I don't know, it seems as more people have got into the hobby, they've thought, hey, we're onto something here, let's treble the price. And it's gone through the roof, and there is a time where you have to think, I'm spending this amount of money on koi food to feed certain fish,
They're essentially living rent-free, getting the heat, the sake kari, and some of them in my personal collection, I know that exact feeling. They're almost depreciating, but still on the best food and in the best conditions. And the best bit about the hobby is buying, isn't it? So you've got to make space for new ones, because another big thing is you're hoping to be in Japan this year, aren't you, as well?
At the end of this month, I'm hoping to get out to Japan to select something for myself, all being well. So I think I've been doing a lot of reading recently, and they talk about volume of water per size of fish. I really want to cut the numbers down here by about 50%, and just maybe add. I'm thinking 9 fish in total, and I think there's a dozen in here at the minute. So I probably want to get rid of a half a dozen and then
add a couple more. Yeah, and that's where you have to really be brutal, and it's very difficult. Like the stage of becoming somebody who's growing high level fish. I mean, I'd love it if every single fish you bought developed as what you expect, but the reality is that's so difficult. So the fish that you're buying, are you thinking Tosai or Nisai now? Because that's another evolution, I'd say, as well.
Yeah, definitely Nisai. To go in here. Tosai, like, I have a trophy in there of a Tosai that won, best in variety and show, and I ended up giving that fish away last year. I actually gave 3 away last year to a local guy that actually lost all his fish, and he was going to get out the hobby, and I gave him a few fish to stay in it. One of those was a Tosai that I bought that won best in variety and class as a small Tosai, but it just did not develop the way I wanted it to. Yeah. I kept the glassware though, but I gave the fish away. but yeah, I think it's just try and take the risk out of it, and just slow down. I don't, I could probably buy, 10, 12 Tosai for what I might spend on one or two Nisai.
But it's the churn in the pond as well. I mean, the idea of having to net them, getting rid of them, selling them, having people come round, and the net going in multiple days to get rid of them. All that stress is not good for a pond with big fish in it, is it?
No, definitely not. We've seen that when we took the fish to the Great British Koi Show. I put them in a vat, and by the time I caught the first fish, which I think was the big Achiba, everyone else was pink.
Yeah.
Everyone else was stressed out because the net had been in once, and that's definitely one thing I don't enjoy doing is netting them up.
No, I'm a big believer in trying to leave them, especially during the hot weather. I mean, that's the problem with the koi shows in this country, isn't it? I mean, if you were doing it in winter when they've got no food in the belly and the temperature's really down, they'd have less energy to be fighting you when the net goes in as well. But it's almost like a expert level trying to net them and bag them in warmer water is not the easiest thing to do whatsoever. So,
and it's a big pond.
Yeah,
like I don't think it might not come out on camera if I'm filming, but when
I have to say that's one of the big things. Like when I came out of the house into the garden, the YouTube side of it, when I watch your pond, it's actually so wide. I'm hoping this angle will really show you guys how wide it is, and obviously the square shape as well. It's really hard to perceive it, like the depth of field. But it's like a massive space. I could see these fish being able to grow massive the way that you've designed this in here.
Yeah, well, that's the plan. And some of them have, like, literally doubled in size and from taking them out of the old pond. They just have a bit more room. There's really one thing about the pond, and a lot of people said to me when we built it, and I did the YouTube channels, that I would regret not banking the floor of the pond to slope down to the drains. But I knew, I've kept koi for years, and I like to run a high flow. And I knew that the volume of flow in this pond, nothing was ever going to be settling on the bottom, even if you banked it the opposite way. And I think that flow, I do turn it up a bit more in the summer. And I think that flow, the current really helps.
Yeah.
When it comes to putting bodies on.
One of the things as well that really strikes me about this pond compared to like all the other ponds that I've seen is that it's just so still and serene, and so peaceful to be at the side of it. It's like with my pond at home, I'm not a massive advocate of like aerated bottom drains these days personally, but there's something just really pleasant about being by a pond where there's no aeration in it at all. Is it something that you physically?
Yeah, it's why
designed?
I have the showers on the old pond. I had 2 showers on the back wall, and they were just crashing into the pond. It's why I've designed the filtration the way I have, to have the shower above the bio unit and not crashing back into the pond. I do have 2 aerated bottom drains in here. As I said before, they come on at night when we're not sat out here, because I do like the glass surface, if you like, as I would say. But then I've always got the option, if I do have to treat with anything that requires extra air at the switch of a button.
Yeah, just switch it on.
I can have that extra air in there.
Yeah.
If the temperatures get out of hand too hot, I mean, I do have the heater that I use as a chiller as well, so I can keep it cold if needs be. But if it did get out of hand, I can increase the air in the pond at the switch of a button.
But it's like when you're moving away from that toe side game, that I call it, and you're dealing with big fish and you're trying to grow from, 65 to 80 cm. I just think this feels like an ideal kind of environment compared to maybe what your other pond was like to grow. This feels like a really nice pond for growing Nisai through to Yonsai. So I'm excited for you, to be fair. I'm excited to follow it along, because this has been, about a year or so now you've had this, is it?
Probably 2 years.
2 years now. Yeah, my track of time's not...
Oh, my own's the same. But what I did notice, you talking about that difference, it took a while for me to get used to it. When the fish were in the old pond and they were a lot smaller, that auto feeder went off, it was a mad... To the food, and they were all aggressively feeding. And then when I started to learn, when the fish started to get bigger, and I wasn't used to keeping fish this size, I was like, why aren't they like that?
Yeah.
The feeding habits change. Everything changes when they get to a certain size, and they just like to go around and graze, take a bit of food when it suits them, and they don't want to aggressively fight for that food anymore.
Yeah, I think one thing that people have got to remember, especially when you're trying to grow like big fish, is the way that I try to, try to explain it to people. I mean, I'm not one to, I've never done it, but like the way I see it, and the way that you see it done in by the best hobbyists and in Japan and things, it's like you're essentially ramming food down them whilst it's hot. And I know from a human side of things, like that would be unpleasant for me. So it's got to be stressful.
Would it bind you up, would it, Joe?
Yeah, it's but it's got to be somewhat stressful for a fish, because you're forcing them to grow under like intense pressure. And so, especially when the big fish, and the other thing is you've got no like little tiny toes darting around in here, because I think that can be quite stressful to big fish, and it's generally why you'll see big fish separated from small fish in dealerships and in Japan again. So it's nice to have an environment just dedicated for big fish.
Yeah, I went, still sake hikari, but I went on to the Hikari N20 sinking.
Yeah.
Because actually another YouTuber, that little tornado filter in there, Lou, used to have a YouTube channel. She gifted me that filter, and when she sent a bag of the FD sinking, and I'd never fed sinking food before, and I noticed how good the fish had done on it. So I wanted to find a quality sinking food, and I went with the Hikari N20. And I mixed that. I think that's meant to be used as like a base diet, and then it's mixed with other things. I've sort of mixed it with the colour, a colour and growth mix, and the pure white, the Sake Hikari pure white this year, and I'm going to stick with that. The body's feeding sinking food. It was one of the first things you said when you came out here, was the bodies in these fish are...
Yeah, even I think since the Great British, I think the body looks really strong, and stronger again.
I mean, they're bottom feeders, right? They prefer to feed off the bottom.
This is another thing. So like the evolution of your hobby, as the fish have got bigger again, and you've obviously gone into this more like raising bigger koi setup. I think sinking food, if you've never tried it, this is one thing I will say, if you've never tried it on your own pond at home, if you're watching this, like if you're next at your dealer, just pick up a small bag and just mix it in with your floating and just see the difference, because some fish are just not good at eating from the surface.
No.
They just hate it.
No.
I've got fish in my own pond that come up, they might take a gasp of air with them. Some of them are just really clumsy. I don't know if you've had it in your pond, but I've got fish that they'll be looking at the pellet and they'll be like, right, it's there, and they'll swim up to it, and obviously their eyes are on the side of the head, and just as they reach the top, they completely miss it, and I just think so that's got to be annoying for the fish. I mean, we're lucky we have eyes on the front of his head, so we can't really miss when we're eating a packet of crisps or whatever. But it's got to be frustrating for some.
Yeah. It's usually they'll suck in a volume of water and a load of pellets in with it. Is what the ones who are more versed at the surface eating. But
and you'll see some they'll take the pellets, but they'll also take a load of air, and then they'll swim down and release all the air through the gills. But whilst they're chewing the food and in the mouth, and then they're releasing the air, that's got to be quite uncomfortable as well. But it's like in Sakai, where they use N20, they also use like sinking paste balls as well. Like, we've got to look at that and say, well, if they're doing it, there's got to be some logic in it.
Yeah, I mean, when I'm feeding heavy, I can only do 150 grams in one feed because, as I said, I do run a high flow, and there's 2 bottom drains in there, and anything more, I actually have to stagger it 2 75s 5 minutes apart. And anything more than that, and the bottom drain will get it. But when I am feeding heavy, that'll go off. It's a 50-50 mix. All the sinking stuff is gone long before anything on the surface. They much prefer the sinking, Everyone goes straight down, clears up the sinking, and then they'll come up and graze on whatever's on the surface, to be honest.
It's just a bigger fish thing, that, I believe.
So they've told me straight away what they prefer.
Yeah.
But
we all like to watch them on the surface as well, don't we? Like,
oh, definitely.
There'll be some people who have 2 really deep ponds where feeding sinking are just, and a lot of us like to hand feed as well. So it's not saying one's better than the other; it's just preference.
No, I mean, for me, it's a case of mixing it up. This pond's almost 6 foot deep. It's just under, and I mean, you can't see them at the bottom at the minute because, as I say, I treated for costy a few weeks back. And the water's still a bit green.
This is a real pond. This is not like some, where we pretend nobody gets parasites. Like, it happens, doesn't it?
Oh, definitely. More often than...
Some people will just make out, though, like, I mean, YouTube's a great thing and sometimes not a great thing. But I think people pretend they never get issues.
It's the whole social media, isn't it?
Yeah.
The perfect life. You see it on Instagram. Well, it isn't like that here. It's not. No. It's not perfect. I had Costy a couple of weeks after we got back from the show, and it's
inevitable, especially when you show in as well, and the stress of netting and things. Like, there's opportunistic parasites in every pond. It's unavoidable at some stage, isn't it?
Yeah, that's it. You get, you touched on it there before. I had issues with the incoming source water, and that really peed a few fish off, to be honest. And I think I have turned a corner with it. Stopped the drum from using pond water to clean. Put in 2 more big blues, and it has definitely helped. I've also massively reduced the amount of water that I'm changing because of that. I don't have a auto top up or a constant trickle in going anymore. Basically, you've seen the Nexus that runs off the skimmer. I'll do that twice a week, 2 full empties, and then I will turn the top up on back up to replace what I've used. And that just comes back to that pond over there. I had a Nexus and an Easy pod on it, and I cleaned the filters twice a week and topped the pond up, and that was my water changes. And I only ever had fluke in that pond.
It's a really neat system as well, because I am a big fan of a Nexus, and I've seen what's accomplishable with a Nexus and the clarity that you can create. But when you've got fish like this, just having a Nexus alone, you won't be able to have the flow, would you?
You need to pull the waste out.
Yeah. And you won't be able to achieve the flow you've got in here with a Nexus, because you need to run a Nexus at the advised flow rate, because that's so important to a Nexus, isn't it?
Yeah, because it is a combi. Yeah. If you're pulling water too fast, it's going through your bio too quick. You're not getting dwell time.
That's just... Sorry, this fish just phenomenal.
Yeah,
phenomenal.
Yeah, it's she's been awesome. She done well for me this year. Super proud of it. But yeah, a Nexus just wouldn't stand the flow that I want to run.
No.
So I'll be honest, Joe. When I built this pond, I didn't have a Nexus in there. I had a seat of sieve on the skimmer, just the drum and the bio and the shower then, and I like to use Koi Master's Advantage.
Yeah.
And I think it works a lot better with an Nexus than with any other type of filtration. I think
Interesting, yeah.
I think there's just a harmony there between the two of them. If you imagine a drum will just strip it out.
Mm-hmm.
But a Nexus, it actually has the ability to bind with all the impurities in the easy section in the centre.
Yeah.
In the micro K1. And you can see it if you use, when I use Koi Masters and then when I next clean the drum, you can see it. It's like beads, everything that it's bound to, all the impurities. And I just, which is the reason I fitted the Nexus in there.
I think the appetite of the fish when you use Koi Master's Advantage is just wild. And the water does get a really lovely shine. And I think that passes on to the fish as well. I think the fish shine with it as well. It's just a good product. I think for conditioning fish, I've tried a few of the other products. Never done any particular testing or anything like that. But I used it in my grow on, which I did with the Nutrimare foods. I use it in my main pond. I have done since the very beginning. So it's well worth product looking at. And a lot of people in Yorkshire believe it does something for sumi development. Obviously, you get decent sumi development here. So,
yeah, definitely.
So there must be something to that.
Yeah, without a shadow of a doubt. I'm the same as yourself. I'll always try the latest fad, and I'll always have a go because I'm a strong believer in it. You've got to try it and make your own mind up and your own decision. But this year I made the conscious decision to stop putting additives in the pond and just going back to the basics and sticking with good food and just Koi Master's Advantage.
Yeah.
And that's it. And trying to get the water right in the first place, trying to get a more mature water. I did tests when I turned off the top up and let the drum clean using pond water, and the amount of water that it changed, I thought I must be running a sterile pond pretty much constantly.
Yeah.
And I wanted to try and get away from that, let things mature up, and I do think the fish have been better for it.
Yeah, I think you need almost like a sterile pond is very different from a mature water pond.
Yeah.
Something that's filtering out the ammonia and nitrite, that is quite sterile. But just replacing it with water from your tap that's just dechlorinated, that water is just completely sterile. It's not alive, and there is a difference between the two. And I think understanding that is probably a podcast in and of itself. Just trying to understand that.
But I'll leave that to you, Joe.
One of the other reasons I'm here as well is the digital koi show. Well, you only entered one fish, so one fish, one result.
Well, we've just had a whole discussion about not wanting to put a net in the pond.
Yeah.
And a couple of weeks before you announced that show, I had that particular fish out, and I had a video, and I had photographs, and they were all on my phone. And I'd actually planned to do a video of my own on all of the koi that I was going to take to the Great British Koi Show, but I've seen how stressed they get, and I just didn't bother. So that's why you only got one fish.
Well, to be fair, that's exactly the reason I set this show up, is not to try and get people to net them all, because I'm a big believer like you of not chucking the net in. But there are people out there like yourself. There's a perfect example who already have the photos and videos, and that's the core audience I wanted to tap into, is people that had maybe got it from the dealer or maybe got it from Japan, just to enter it straight in the competition without getting the stress. So that's amazing. I'm really glad you did. And that fish, I saw it in Japan. I might have some footage of it that I can overlay. I can't remember what I've got saved down, but yeah, it's a stunning Suetsugu Sankey. And like you said, I think growing a bit of a reputation for Sankey in England now.
Yeah, I mean, I read Liam's blog, the World of Nishikigoi blog. Is it World of Nishikigoi?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And you know, you're reading through all the winners all up and down, and there was Soetsugu had done really well. And
It's only like a really small operation, but the quality of what he does there is just, yeah. And it's not so, like, I think if that fish were at one of the major farms in Japan, it would have maybe it would have been unachievable price-wise.
yeah,
Because it would have gone to a major breeder, and whereas Soetsugu needs to pay his bills every year, do you know what I mean? There's a very, very big difference, and I think I'm excited to see what you make of Soetsugu when you go out to Japan, because you've seen his fish, and when you go and see like how small of an operation it is, it's remarkable the quality they get.
wow.
I think it'll blow your mind, but in a year's time she'll be over 75, I would think. And
Oh yeah.
that's, you know, you're getting into grand champion territory when you get to that size.
As long as it can keep I mean, it's completely different fish at that size, isn't it? As long as it can keep the body volume to the level it's at,
and the skin, yeah.
and the skin, and she has, you know, she's grown well already in the short period we've had, and I think you did touch on it earlier. Like, it kind of puts me off showing, because I think you're going to invest so much money in a koi collection. You want smooth sailing through the feeding season. You don't want to be going down to 18, knocking the food on the head for the week, and like what we're saying about feeding lesser quality fish the best food. You can't go stay away from the food. You know.
Yeah.
But you have a week to 10 days of no food, and then they're chucked in a vat for everyone to go around and look at. And
I am a big believer in that you've got to get your collection ready for like March time. You've got to be ready to go with the fish in that you've bought, and your tosai ready to go for like March, maybe April time, and then you've got to go, right, this is my collection, I'm finished, no more ins, no more outs. It's like a transfer window for football. Like you make your decision on what your first 11 are going to be, but you know, if you're going to keep one in, then it's got to stay in if you start feeding. Netting during feeding when they've got food in the belly is just, I think it's just a death wish.
yeah.
And it causes too much stress. So I think you're in that position now where you've got to make your calls. Your transfer window's opening, isn't it, over the winter time? So yeah. But I'm excited. I'm looking forward to seeing what you bring back from Japan and following it along on your channel. I'm sure there'll be a lot of people out there who will be interested as well. So
cheers, John.
Thanks for having me over.
No, thanks for coming, Joe. Appreciate it.
Awesome.
Nailed it.